Yes, in fact, it is raining mocks, and there's quite a few out there. Let's jump into these, and let's see if Woolchuck and Broadus and Chiafalo would love these picks for the Cowboys or if they would hate them.
Fart.
Okay, we're going to start with Brian's biggest troll friend, I believe. This is, of course, Pete Prisco, CBSSports.com.
Love Pete.
And his latest mock draft, which he updated just a couple of hours ago, he does have Bijan Robinson, a runner who has a lot of the same characteristics as Saquon Barkley. Cowboys let Zeke walk, makes a lot of sense. I kind of look at this like I look at wide receiver, though, guys, where you have enough wide receivers, you don't need a first-round receiver, and you have Tony Pollard, you don't need a first-round running back. If next year your later round picks fail again at wide receiver or at running back, then maybe you reprioritize it to first round if it's that super urgent after free agency next year. But you're fine there. The spot is left guard. You know, that's the spot where you really don't have a starter you can depend on. It. You can't pretend like Tyron Smith's going to stay healthy. So I think in the past, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, they have done free agency knowing they're going to pick a spot. And they don't want to double dip on it with significant resources. So occasionally they'll leave themselves hanging out thinking there's going to be so many good guards there or maybe a guard tackle combo.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it's a blinking light that it will be that position.
I'm really surprised that Pete picked a running back because he lives in the camp that you guys live in about where to take a running back. Like he's the champion of, there's a guy in the third round. There's a guy in the fifth round. You know, there's guys. So I'm surprised that he even put that in there. But what he's probably thinking is the Cowboys, they're going to take a guy. They're just going to they're one of those teams that won't play the analytics game or what you guys talk about.
Yeah.
And they'll take the player despite that.
He's a huge star, huge brand name. There's a lot of reasons the Cowboys would be prompted to go that direction if he is available.
They're not going to play the analytics game. They're going to play, well, he's one of the best players, and if we use him for 5 to 7 years like they use Zeke, and we'll just move on.
It's just one of those things where if you're going best player available and you talk about not window dressing your board, there's no question that's the best player available. And he's going to make an immediate difference. He's going to touch the ball 20 times a game. He's going to be better than Tony Pollard is day one. And you've got Tony Pollard that's coming off an injury, and I think he's better than Saquon Barkley, who went in the top 5.
Yeah, I think that to me, when you look at Bijan Robinson and stuff, I think there's a lot of people out there that are hopeful that if you're a Cowboy fan and you believe in what the analytics and what you guys talk about,
that he's just gone.
That you hope he's gone.
I think he will be.
There's a lot of those fans that are like, whew, we didn't have to take him. Oh, God, it didn't get to us. Because I think there's a lot of analytics guys and gals that are like, don't take a running back in the first round. We talk about it a lot on this station. But you know, that
the
teams
hope, are thinking that more and more.
Yeah, your biggest fear is the Cowboys will take that guy when you know damn good and well they probably shouldn't. And so your hope, if you're one of those people, that he goes to Tampa at 19. That should be your hope.
Mm-hmm. Once he gets past Tampa, you think he'll be there at 26?
I think if he gets past Tampa, you're looking at him right down the barrel right now.
How interesting is it that at the start of this process, people said he ain't going to be there at 26, and now more and more mocks and more sports books are projecting the Cowboys to end up with him?
I think a lot of it has to do because of the devaluation of the running back.
Yeah.
You know, and people like the media guys, the media that cover the draft or work on the draft, the Dane Bruglers and those guys that throw this out there, the Todd McShays, Mel Kipers, they're just putting them where they need to be. I mean, they're putting like, man, this guy's a damn good player. I watched him around the 1st of December, and my thought about him hasn't changed one bit. And I've done over 190 players so far, you know, and it hasn't changed. And I get it. I get it why people who are that running back, you don't have to take one in the first round. I get it. But I know as far as, and I've said this a bunch, regardless of position, as one of the best players in the draft. He just happens to play running back.
Yeah, and I also think that there's been people are more understanding now, something you guys have been talking about since before Christmas, the idea that this is a great running back class.
Right.
And so I don't have to reach for one here because there's a million I can get in the later rounds.
You can definitely draft one in the third, in the fourth, if you wanted to, day 2, early day 3. There's no question about that. But he's the one guy, if he's sitting there, like I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's awesome. I'm not taking Jahmyr Gibbs at 26.
Yeah.
But if Bijan's there, I'm taking him. And you're not going to be upset about it for 5 years.
Alrighty, it is the GBag Nation here on the Fan. Getting some good texts in here. Is it still possible Bijan makes it to round 2? I think if it's possible he gets to 26, he could get to 32 this year, which is the first pick in the second round because the one's missing. Did you already touch on the report with Derrick Henry? What is that, a Bill Barnwell speculation? There's an NFL executive that's talking about Derrick Henry being traded, and on Cowboys Twitter, a lot of people are talking about it. We'll maybe dig into it a little bit later on. I think it would have to be awful cheap and not much of a draft pick for the Cowboys to do it.
I think it would have to be a situation where you also say, all right, Titans, pick up some of the salary.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, I just don't see them making this trade. I said this a while ago. When they're now in that mode where they're putting boards together, they're not thinking about trades and free agents and stuff like that. They're thinking about, well, there's enough running backs on that board. We don't have to pay that guy. Yeah. We don't have to, do what they need to do.
I think there was a general manager who was likening it a little bit to like the Christian McCaffrey thing. Like you wait till the deadline, a team who is in win now mode and they're willing to maybe give up more for Henry in the moment of, hey, we need a running back and we think we can win a Super Bowl this year, and they'll give you more if you're the Titans than maybe they will right now.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and adding Derrick Henry would be just the kind of Jerry Jones thing that would, provide a little bit more juice. And as long as it doesn't cost them a bunch of salary cap space, I could see them being interested in something like that. 903, if there are only 20 first-round graded players and a top 5 graded player falls to you at 26, you would be stupid not to pick them. Yeah, I see that point, but it also kind of depends on how you do your grading system. And I think more and more teams are already saying a running back can't be in our top 20 players. It is impossible. That would be like putting a kicker in your top 20 players. I know this guy's making them from 60 yards and never misses, but he's not as important as a wide receiver or a tackle. I think that's how more teams are looking at it.
I think you have to give the player his due, regardless of the position. I think that's the thing that when they put together boards, you don't want to window dress your board, but you also you're right. If you don't have an intent of taking Bijan Robinson in the first round, don't put him in the first round. That's teams will do that. You're absolutely right. But I think when you watch him play, when they're getting in those rooms and they're talking about these players and they're thinking, okay, let's stack this from 1 to 150. And you put him down there and you think he's the 29th or 30th best player, man, that would be almost, to me, like you're window dressing your board because you're just devaluing.
You're just acknowledging the positional value.
Yeah.
You're saying that because you're grading on a curve.
Because
right?
No, you're not.
He's
a
10.
No, you're not. You're grading. You're just.
I have my own grading system though, Brian, and that's the way I see it. That's my reality.
Well,
you have your history supported way of working in NFL offices and saying this is how we grade our boards. I'm
just telling you how you would put if you were to put the players from 1 to 150, I don't know how you would put him at 28. I'm just saying if you were ranking the players.
I think that the running back thing's just gotten completely overboard. I don't see why it's an issue taking a running back at 26. You wouldn't go back and draft Ezekiel Elliott at 26 in that draft?
No. I wouldn't. No. He was only good for 2 years, Zach. There was a lot of
factors that happened with that. Ezekiel Elliott entered as a rookie. You won 13 games because of him. He was the best player on the field.
You had the best offensive line in football. A lot of running backs would have produced a lot in that system.
I don't know that they're producing,
including DeMarco Murray.
I think that's an assumption, and I think it's a misassumption. Personally, I'm not going to not draft a player.
That's your opinion.
You're boxing him in as a running back.
It's your opinion too, though.
You're boxing him in as a running back, but he's an offensive weapon. This dude can line up at receiver for you. He can run routes.
But this Roschon Johnson almost had the same yards per attempt.
I get what you're saying, but there's a big difference taking a guy at 26 at the bottom of the first round. There is. Because 5 years, you're also not paying a guy that much money.
You can get guys like Tyler Smith there. You can get great players
there. You draft
a
wide receiver,
you can get
right?
Tank Lawrence there. Yes, you would draft a wide receiver.
So what difference is the wide receiver? If I can't block for him, how am I getting the ball to the wide receiver?
That's why I want offensive linemen.
And I think they're going to take a lineman. Don't get me wrong. I'm on record saying that I think that's going to be the pick at 26, but I'm totally not against drafting Bijan Robinson at 26. I think it's the whole devaluing of the running back. You're taking one at the bottom of the first round. Come on. Top 10, I get it. Bottom of the first round.
Pacheco won you a Super Bowl.
Pacheco won a Super Bowl because he's playing with Patrick Mahomes, who's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, and Zeke won 13 games that year because he had a quarterback that was playing out of his mind.
Stop.
You take Dak Prescott at 4 over Zeke.
No. You would take Dak over Zeke, sure, but Zeke was the best player on that team. Dak was not.
Okay, if you remove Zeke from that team, you win how many games? You remove Dak from that team, how many games?
You'd probably win a lot less games. You won those games because of Zeke. And if you're arguing that, then you should go back and rewatch that season.
I will. 1,600 yards? My quarterback is always the reason. My quarterback.
Why do we always go back to, you've got to go ahead and bring the offense back down, scale it back down? That's what you did the rookie year for Dak. You ran the football. You didn't ask him to do anything. He was a bus driver.
I never say that.
Zeke was running the ball well.
I say Dak was throwing you out of 3rd and longs all season.
No, you're telling me that Dak was better than Zeke that year, which is not true.
Well, that's
Dak
fine.
Dak was way better than
Dak
Zeke.
Dak was better than Zeke.
Dak was the reason you won games that year more so than Zeke was.
He didn't turn the ball over, and he was able to finally save you at the quarterback position, but I don't think he was more of the reason than Zeke that you won games that year.
It's just quite
Zeke
simply
carried
the sport.
That team.
It's the sport. A running back's never carrying a team.
Derrick Henry didn't carry the Titans?
To where?
To an AFC championship game, which is more than the Cowboys have been to in 27 years.
Or they got Ryan Tannehill, who was a respectable quarterback, and allowed for that to happen. Was Derrick Henry doing that with Marcus Mariota? No.
Derrick Henry
were sucking that year because their quarterback
We're talking about
sucked.
that 1 year sample size. Derrick Henry carried them to that Super Bowl. It was not Ryan Tannehill. Okay, he did not play good football.
Then you could put Mariota there that year, and they would have gone to the AFC title game too, because Derrick Henry was the reason.
Sure, I'll say yes.
Okay, well, I won't.
Well, then you'd be wrong. But I love you.
I love you back.
All right. It's a big love fest here, clearly, in this studio. GBag Nation on 105.3 The Fan. I can't wait. We have another 3 weeks and 2 days to talk about this
running
draft.
back love. I think they're getting killed for no reason.
It's not something you want to bring back, dude. There's some things we
but
just
you
need to
want to
leave
run the
in
football.
history.
You should get two running back too.
That's why I want to get like 3 pretty good running backs.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
And they'll be A- level. You could have the A. I'll take the A- in the 3rd round.
That's fine. We can take Tajay Spears, and I'll be fine with that.
Sports betting news.